Welcome back to the channel, I'm Colin. Are you looking for a fun bassy budget IEM for under $35? This might be it. So this is the Ziigaat Rumba. It's Ziigaat's latest budget release, retailing for exactly $35. And this is a bassy set of IEMs. I believe this is also the brand's most affordable release to date. It features a dual cavity 10mm dynamic driver. Let's unbox it and take a closer look. Like most budget IEMs, the Rumba comes in quite a small box. Inside you get the IEMs themselves and 6 pairs of silicone ear tips, 3 wide bore tips, and 3 narrower bore tips. The review sample I have here features an inline mic cable with a mini jack, but you can also get it without the mic. Looking closer at the shells, they are entirely made of resin and feel incredibly light. The faceplate features a glossy red design. Since this is a collaboration IEM, you'll find the Ziigaat logo on one side and the Wyvern digital logo on the other. Fit and comfort are excellent. I had absolutely no trouble getting a secure fit with the stock tips. What really surprised me though was the passive isolation. It's easily one of the most isolating single dynamic driver IEMs I've tested recently, making it a fantastic choice for commuting. One minor thing to keep in mind is the cable. Unlike the standard 1.2 meter cables we usually see, the Rumba's cable is 1.35 meters long. While the extra length is awesome for desktop setups, it might feel slightly too long if you're using them on the go. I tested the Rumba on the Fossey MD3 and VOK A17. Sound-wise, the Rumba is warm, punchy, and the bass is deeply satisfying. It delivers a generous amount of both sub-bass rumble and mid-bass punch. It's not crazy, but it's definitely well above neutral. The mid-range is warm and incredibly full-bodied, thanks to that healthy mid-bass presence. Surprisingly, vocals don't feel heavily recessed despite the V-shaped tuning. I'd say they sit maybe 2 steps back from the center of the mix. You do trade off a bit of mid-range detail for this extra body. So this isn't an analytical or highly detailed set. Instead, you get a smooth, lush, and highly musical mid-range. Moving up, the high frequencies are non-fatiguing and very smooth to my ears. There's just enough air up top to keep things natural. While this isn't a technical set, I really appreciate the fluid presentation of the treble. A lot of budget sets can sound grainy or harsh in the highs, but the Rumba sounds wonderfully natural and organic. The soundstage here is nothing to write home about. Pretty average in the price range. Has decent air, but not a lot of depth and width, which I believe doesn't make it especially good for gaming. Let's take a quick look at the graph. First, you'll see a prominent 10 dB bass shelf that slopes down very gradually into the mid-bass, tapering off at around the 300 to 500 Hz region. The gradual slope is exactly why the Rumba has so much mid-bass and warmth in the lower vocals. Moving up, the upper mid-range and treble closely follow the IEF target, with a subtle pinna compensation peak at around 2 to 3K Hz, to balance out that heavy low end and keep the vocals present. Let's compare the Rumba to the Celest Wyvern Remaster, which also retails for exactly $35. The first thing you will notice is the bass. The Rumba hits significantly harder, reaching much deeper and delivering far more physical impact than the Wyvern. However, that prominent mid-bass on the Rumba does bleed into the vocals. If you like a warm, colored signature, you'll love the rich vocals, but if you prefer a cleaner presentation, you might perceive it as bass built. By comparison, the Wyvern Remaster keeps vocals much more neutral and true to the source, though it is also slightly recessed in the mix like the Rumba. However, I don't quite like the treble on the Wyvern. It's slightly holler than the Rumba, which isn't the issue, but it has a graininess to it that makes the upper mid-range and cymbals sound a bit brittle to my ears. As a bit of a bass head, I definitely prefer the Rumba out of the two, but if you aren't a fan of heavy bass, the Wyvern Remaster is likely the safer choice. Now if you like the idea of a cleaner sound signature but have a slightly higher budget, The Kiwi Ears Cadenza 2 is a fantastic option at $50. The Cadenza 2 delivers a much tighter, better controlled bass response. The mid-range is clean, more detailed, and sits slightly more forward than the Rumba, as opposed to being slightly at the back. If you listen to vocal-centric music and prefer detail over warmth, the Cadenza 2 is probably the better choice. The biggest difference though is the treble. The Cadenza 2 brings far better resolution, a greater sense of air, and a wider soundstage compared to both the Rumba and the Wyvern. And crucially, it avoids that crunchy graininess I disliked on the Wyverns. To wrap things up, the Ziigaat Rumba is an incredibly fun, high-value budget set at $35. It delivers deep, impactful sub-bass and a satisfying mid-bass rumble that bassheads will absolutely love. It's an IEM with great impact and musicality. If you are looking for a more technical or neutral set, I would point you towards the Cadenza 2 instead, as it is a clear step up in technicalities, better soundstage and better imaging as well. But for me, I actually prefer the Rumba out of the three. I simply love the deep bass and the warmth it brings to vocals. I think it sounds a little more emotional and less sterile compared to the other two. If you're a basshead looking for an affordable daily driver, I highly recommend giving the Ziigaat Rumba a try. Let me know in the comments below. Do you prefer a warm bassy signature, or do you value technicality or details in your music more? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.